Here's the topic of the show. Are the 49ers better or worse than last year? Let's, before we answer the question, because you know what I'm gonna say. You think you know what I'm gonna say. No, they're not better than last year. Yeah, I'm probably gonna say that. But before I say that, let's like be scientific about it, systematic about it, and go position by position or aspect of the team by aspect of the team. So on defense, did the pass rush get better? Is the pass rush better than it was last year? I think that's an easy answer. I think the answer is yes. The pass rush is better than it was last year. Osa Odigizua alone is a huge upgrade over Jordan Elliott and Kevin Givens. Huge upgrade. And they still have they still have Alfred Collins, and Michael Williams is coming back eventually, and Nick Bosa should be there for week 1, if not for all of training camp. So the pass rush should be significantly better. Is it going to be a top 10 pass rush in the league in terms of pressure and sacks? I don't know. Maybe not, but it'll be way better than the worst, which is what it was last year. So that's probably the aspect of the team that they improved the most. I also would have to feel that the run defense should be better with Fred Warner out there. He's the best player on the team. And yeah, he's turning 30 this year, but I think it's still fair to expect him to be more or less in his prime. And whenever Dre Greenlaw's out there, he's a pretty good run defender too. So better front, better pass rush, better run defense. That's significant. Is the defense flat out better in general? Having a better pass rush should help, but they have a worse defensive coordinator, and that's kind of important. Robert Saleh is top 5 in the league among defensive coaches. I would say that Raheem Morris is probably top half, top 16, but that's a pretty big drop off. He's never really had a dominant defense ever, and he's coached some really good players. So pass rush should be better, run defense should be better, but overall game planning, down to down play calling, halftime adjustments probably won't be as good. And then you got this like new front that they're going to use, like this 5-man front with Romello Height or Jaden Duggar or Luke Gifford as the 5th man on the line of scrimmage in that 2-point stance, ready to set the edge or drop into coverage or maybe blitz. But all I know is when the Niners went to that 5-man front last year to stop the run, they got shredded in the passing game. Remember the second game against the Rams last year? When the Rams, that was when the Rams had that 3 tight end formation. The first time they faced the Rams hadn't really adopted that, gone all in with that yet. But the second time they did, they played in Levi's, not in Levi's Stadium. And 4 tight ends caught touchdown passes against the Niners in that game. They kept going to that 13 personnel. And wherever Luke Gifford was dropping into coverage, that's where they threw the ball. He was so lost, so awful. It was the easiest shit I've ever seen. And they're going to do it again against the Niners. And now I guess they're hoping that Romello Height will be better. And he might be. We'll see about that, because you can't be worse than Luke Gifford. That's something I learned in life. Yes, last year. So is the defense better than last year? It could be. It all depends on Raheem Morris. The players should be better, but like in 2024, Bosa played most of the season. Warner played the whole season, but the defense was trash because Nick Sorensen and Brandon Staley just weren't good enough. Brandon Staley is a defensive coordinator right now in New Orleans. And, he's one of the defensive coordinators in the league. He's one of the top 32 defensive coordinators in the world. But the defense stunk with him and Fred Warner and Nick Bosa. You lose Bosa, you lose Fred Warner, but you get Robert Saleh last year, and all of a sudden the defense is really good. Here are my prize picks for the 49ers 2026 season. Brock Purdy, 25 and a half passing touchdowns, more or less. I'm going to say less. Christian McCaffrey, 974 and a half rushing yards, more or less. I'm going to say less. Mike Evans, 924 and a half receiving yards, more or less. That's a tough one. I'm going with less. Go to PrizePicks, use promo code HMA, play $5 and get 50 instantly in lineups. Again, that's code HMA. PrizePicks. It's good to be right. So, I mean, just because you have these guys back doesn't mean the defense will be great. We've seen them underachieve with those guys on the field. Let's go to the offense. Is the pass protection better than last year? I mean, hard to say that it is in the sense that, Trent is, let's just go player for player. Is Trent Williams going to be better in 2025 than he was in 2026? Probably not, considering he was worse in 2025 than he was in 2024, and he was worse in 2024 than he was in 2023. He's gotten worse 3 years in a row. I would imagine he's going to get a little bit worse this year, probably miss a little bit more time. Even if he plays 15 games, I don't think he's going to be, I think it's fair to think he's going to take another step back. Christian McCaffrey, he was the comeback player of the year last year. He was first team All-Pro last year. He was fourth in the MVP voting last year, second in the voting for Offensive Player of the Year. Christian McCaffrey, 413 touches in the regular season, 17 touchdowns, 102 catches, 17 games started, 1,200 yards rushing, 10 rushing touchdowns, 71 rushing first downs, 311 rushing attempts. Is he going to be better this year than he was last year? Is he going to rush for 1,300 yards this year? Is he going to rush for 12 touchdowns this year? Is he going to catch 105 passes this year? I bet he won't. I think it's unrealistic to expect Christian McCaffrey to be better at 30 than he was at 29. George Kittle. Last year, he played 11 games. He caught 57 passes for 628 yards and 7 touchdowns. Is he going to catch more than 57 passes this year, Kittle? Is he going to have more than 628 yards? Is he going to have 7 touchdowns this year? How many games is Kittle going to play this year? Is he going to play 11 games this year? I bet he won't. And the thing with Kittle that's so interesting, it's like, let's look at it from a bigger macro perspective. Did the running game get better this offseason? A lot of people say, yes, it did, because Kalen Black is here. And, if he is as advertised, he will have improved the running back position. But that doesn't mean the running game will get better. Here's what I mean by that. We saw it last year. The Niners running game is super heavily. I don't think anyone affects the Niners running game more than George Kittle. When George Kittle was on the field last year, the Niners averaged 4.2 yards per carry, which wasn't good, but it was at least, semi-respectable. When he wasn't on the field, they averaged 3.3 yards per carry, which is beyond abysmal. Worse in the league. Might as well not even hand it off. He's that important to their running game. And he's not going to play the first, I would imagine he's going to start the season on PUP. We don't know for sure. He's not going to play the first month of the year, probably, maybe the first 2 months of the year. And then when he does come back, if the Niners are smart and they don't rush him back and get him re-injured, what kind of a blocker is he going to be at 33 coming off a torn ACL? Achilles, excuse me. Sorry, George. Not trying to speak that into existence. But I'm just trying to be realistic here, not trying to be mean. If he's the most important run blocker and he's not going to be there the first half of the year, we saw what that looked like last year. And then when he does come back, coming off this injury at his age, can he still be the best run blocker at his position in the league, the best run blocker on the team, the most impactful run blocker on the team? Because if not, then it seems like this run game is going to take a step back as well, which is scary considering it was already the 30th in terms of yards per attempt last year. It was the third worst run game in terms of yards per attempt last year. And that was with Kittle playing 11 games. What if he plays 7 games this year? What if he plays 14, but he's not a blocker anymore like he used to be? Can he drive off of that Achilles? And then there's Mike Evans. Mike Evans, the question isn't will Mike Evans be better than he was last year? Because he played for the Bucks last year. The question is, will he be better than the player he's replacing, Juwan Jennings, who wasn't great last year, but he did play 15 games and he did catch 55 passes for 643 yards and 9 touchdowns. Will Mike Evans have more than 9 touchdowns this year? Maybe. Maybe. Will Mike Evans have more than 643 receiving yards this year? Maybe. I mean, I don't know. He was bad last year. They're hoping he can be sort of like their version of Devontae Adams. Devontae Adams had kind of a Juwan Jennings year last year. 60 catches, Juwan had 57. 789 yards, Juwan had like 680 something. Difference was he had 14 touchdowns. He was a red zone god, and he was playing with Matthew Stafford, who's pretty freaking great. Can Mike Evans do that? Can he catch 14 touchdowns? Maybe. Maybe he can. But he has to beat 9 for the Niners to be better at the wide receiver position. Maybe Ricky Pearsall takes the next step and the Niners are better in the passing game. But it seems like the running game could be worse just because you don't have Kittle, just because he's older and coming off an Achilles. In the passing game, it all revolved around Kittle, who won't be out there, Christian, who's not going to catch 102 passes this year, Mike Evans, who may or may not be washed and has to replace Juwan Jennings, who was in his prime and, is at least pretty good. A lot depends on Ricky Pearsall taking another step, which he may. But it just seems to me like this is a team that could be better on paper than it was last year, but isn't necessarily. I mean, the way we lay it out, yes, the front of the defense is better than it was last year on paper, but the rest of the team isn't necessarily better on paper than it was last year. The question mark around George Kittle is huge for this team. And frankly, it's unrealistic to expect Trent or Christian to not take another step back. So what does that mean about the team? Does it mean that they're going to win? Does it mean that they're not going to make the play? I mean, it seems like last year they made the playoffs. They won 12 games with so many people injured that now people are thinking like, well, if they have any type of health, it really doesn't matter. Like Kyle's going to find a way to get this team. Kyle and Brock are going to find a way to get this team to the playoffs one way or another, as if 2024 didn't happen. I get the feeling that if the Niners have another injury-riddled season this year like they had last year, they're going to miss the playoffs. I think a lot of things had to go their way last year for them to make the playoffs and win all those games despite all those injuries, and I don't think they could do it again. I think, 1, they had a pretty weak schedule. 2, they had Robert Saleh, who turned a practice squad defense into something that could hold the Eagles to 19 points in the playoffs. And, yeah. I mean, look at the quarterbacks the Niners faced last year. Spencer Rattler, Kyler Murray, Michael Penix, Stroud in a down year, rookie Jackson Dart, Jacoby Brissett, Bryce Young, rookie Shedeur Sanders, rookie Cam Ward, Phillip Rivers off the couch, Jalen Hurts, who didn't want to run. They faced a bunch of like mid to bad quarterbacks. This year, if they have a bunch of injuries, I don't think they're going to be able to overcome them. I mean, here's the quarterbacks on their list. They got Matthew Stafford. That's tough. Then you got Malik Willis. Okay. Jacoby Brissett. Okay. Bo Nix, Sam Darnold, Jaden Daniels, probably Tua, Fernando Mendoza, Dak, Kyler, Darnold, your Tua Dart, Stafford again, Herbert, Mahomes, maybe Jalen Hurts, and then Brissett. So it's tougher quarterbacks, older team. I don't think they can have another one of these years where the substation zaps them left and right. They got to stay healthy. If they stay healthy, they could conceivably, if they stay healthy and Nick Bosa has a dramatic bounce back like he did in 2022 coming off of 2021 coming off of that torn ACL, if Kittle plays more than half the season and plays really well, if McCaffrey plays most of the season, like almost every game, and is basically what he was last year, and Purdy, forget Purdy. Purdy could miss half the year and they could still make the playoffs. We saw that last year. But Yeah, the older players stay healthy, they have a real chance to go back to the playoffs, but they can't have another year like last year. They'll miss it. That's the way I see it. Maybe I'm wrong. Usually right, though. All Day Everyday Kim says Knicks in 6. Dwayne Rogers says, here's $2. Thank you very much.